NFL Wildcard weekend. We've got action Saturday and Sunday. We're going to break down the Saturday games here. I got Bryan Leonard and the Sports Cheetah, Preston, in studio. Guys, let's start it off with the first game. It's Kansas City and Houston. What can you say about the Kansas City Chiefs? Hottest team in the NFL right now, 10 straight wins. But what I'm going to point out, they've only beaten 2 teams in that 10-game stretch with a winning record. And the 2 teams they beat, you got to put an asterisk on it when they beat them, because they beat my Pittsburgh Steelers with one Landry Jones at quarterback. And I think there's a little bit of a difference, drop-off between Ben and Landry Jones. Not as much as Ben and Michael Vick was, but there definitely is a drop-off there. And then the other game they won, they went into Denver and smacked the Broncos around. But then that was the game after that. All of the elements that Peyton Manning had come to light, and he ended up on the bench, threw 5 interceptions in that game. So what do you think of this Kansas City team? Are they for real?
I think they're for real, but you're right. They finished the year playing a very easy schedule. The concern I have in this game is Houston rushes the passer. Watt no longer has the club on his hand. And if Kansas City, take a look at the teams that Kansas City has just played. None of them rush the passer well. Smith is a good quarterback. I give the guy credit. You know, he's been his entire career in the NFL. Somebody said what he can't do, but what he can do is win games and manage the clock. But the thing is, all the teams that they played, nobody rushes the passer. We'll find out this game if he's able to get time to throw the ball downfield. I mean, look at all that string of games last year where they couldn't even throw a touchdown to the wide receivers. Houston, the only thing that may hold Houston back is their special teams is so bad, and that's always a concern. But I'm very happy that Brian Hoyer is in the playoffs. The Browns screwed up once again and let the wrong quarterback leave, and now he's in the playoffs. Just typical of my Cleveland Browns. But I think Houston has a chance here if they can get to the quarterback.
Being the Cleveland Brown fan that you are, is there any truth to the rumors you were out partying with Johnny Manziel over the weekend here in town?
I hope so.
I wish he would invited me. But
Preston, Brian mentioned that Alex Smith is a great game manager. But the last 5 games, they haven't passed for 200 yards in any of the 5 games. In several of them, it was under 150. Is that enough to win on the road against the Houston defense that's very underrated?
Yeah, I think it actually is. I haven't made a play in the game. I'll preface this by saying I think the counter to Brian's point about the pass rushing, I think, is that Kansas City's offense their philosophy isn't really that they need a ton of time to throw deep or to get receivers open, because they kind of manage a different game anyway. And so it might kind of play into the fact that Watt won't, even if he did have opportunities to sack him, Smith's already let it go, or they've already run a screen pass or whatever it is, because they do a ton of that. And I think the key, I was looking at some of the numbers just right before we came in here to shoot this, because I think a lot of people think that it's going to be kind of a public and sharp, wise guy side. The Texans, their offense, I think they started 4 different quarterbacks this year, which is just phenomenal, and that's impressive as hell that they're even here.
And all 4 registered wins, which is
yeah, they all got a win too. Yeah, it's true. Ryan Mallett just recently. And so, but their offense was tied with the 49ers and the Colts. I think they were the bottom 3. They were like 4.9 yards per play. So they were the worst offense in the NFL. Kansas City, on the other hand, was 12th. And they're both top 6 in defense. I think they're 5th and 6th respectively. And so I think the real difference is that Kansas City has a much stronger offense. They're playing on the road, and that's why the line's where it's at. I think it's a pretty good, fair line as far as that all goes. But ultimately, I expect the Chiefs to get the win. They're the better team. But they're also the Chiefs. It's also Alex Smith and Andy Reid, and you never know. Sometimes they get too conservative, and sometimes they make errors late in games that we've seen all too often. So I think it'll be a fun one to watch. And I wouldn't count the Texans out.
Would you use the phrase play not to lose instead of play to win?
Correct.
Too often?
Exactly. If you've heard that, that's a perfect example.
Yeah, and let's jump to the other game. Scott and Matt had broke down Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, so we won't spend a lot of time there. But as everybody knows, I'm a big Pittsburgh Steeler fan. But this is a bad spot for the Steelers, I think, this week going into Cincinnati. Of all the games this week when the 4 lines came out, this is the game that shocked me the most. I don't know about you guys. Because I just couldn't understand Pittsburgh being a road favorite here.
Well, I could see it based on where they're going to think the public's going to come in on. They're not going to play Cincinnati, who hasn't played well, and they're with a backup quarterback. But similar to the other game, this is a team right now in Cincinnati that can rush the quarterback here. And we've already, in the other one they mentioned how Ben's thrown 2 interceptions each of the last 3-4 weeks. So this is a Pittsburgh team that wants to throw downfield, and normally they do, but is he going to have the time to do it? On the other hand, Cincinnati's been able to protect the quarterback pretty well, and Pittsburgh doesn't exactly have that great of defensive backs.
Yeah, we got to wrap this one up. Preston, D'Angelo Williams, not right now looks like we're taping on Wednesday. Looks like he's not going to be able to go. But even if he would be able to go, he's not going to be 100%. And Toussaint, the backup, he had 12 carries for 24 yards last week against the Cleveland Browns, which is not good.
Real quick, I think it's worth mentioning. You're talking about popping out. They played 3 weeks ago. I think it closed Cincinnati -3 at home with Andy Dalton against the Steelers. Now they're almost getting 3. Is Andy Dalton really worth 6 points? And no D'Angelo Williams potentially this week for Pitt? I think it is kind of an overreaction in that regard.
All right, guys. Of the 2 games, either one of them, you guys have an opinion on one you want to throw out there? Preston?
I don't. I haven't made any plays in either of the NFL games yet for Saturday.
I haven't yet because I want to wait for some line moves, but I think there's value in the dogs. By the way, the Gold Sheet put out a stat this week. Playoff underdogs, home underdogs, 13-5-2 against the spread. Doesn't happen very often, small sample size, but that tells you.
It's not supposed to happen.
It's not supposed to happen. There's all 4 games this week.
Yeah, I know. It's like home field doesn't mean anything anymore. I think the line's off on this one. And just note on Pittsburgh, this is their 3rd straight road game and 4th in 5 weeks. That takes its toll on any team. I don't care that it's playoffs or not and it's a new season. It takes its toll. That's it for this one, guys. Hey, you want to save $10 this week? You can save it. Head to the checkout. Put anything in there. You can get $10 off with the coupon code WILD10. That's the word WILD and the number 10, and you'll save $10 at WagerTalk.com. We're going to check out the Sunday games up next, WagerTalk.com.